to my desk tour. Here's my desk. We're gonna tour it. My name is Chris. I make YouTube videos. I am a Sony user. I shoot weddings. I shoot a lot of real estate content, photos. I make videos for the internet, and this is where I shoot a lot of it, edit a lot of it. Let's start off with the most important and biggest thing, the desk. Very long. This is actually a custom desk, so you can't buy it like this. It's something you would have to make yourself. The legs are from FlexiSpot. The top is a solid wooden block from IKEA. It's actually a kitchen countertop called Carlby. Literally just drilled holes in the bottom, screwed the legs on. It's great. This thing will support about 200 pounds. And it is a standing desk, so it can go up and down there. And I've got all the power at the back, which we'll show you later, designed so that it can go all the way up and all the way down without stretching any cords. Nothing falls off the desk. Lots of trial and error to make that work. In terms of a computer, I actually just swapped to my M1 13-inch MacBook Pro. Now, I had this as well as an iMac before, but that was just too slow. It wasn't cutting it for me anymore. So I swapped to this. I wanted to see if it would be enough. And it is, and it handles everything I throw at it perfectly fine. Multi-track 4K video, no issues, no more proxies. The only issue with this, there's only 2 ports on the side, and as you can tell from everything going on here, I need a lot more than 2 ports. So what I actually have is 2 OWC docks, one at the front here and there's one at the back, and that allows me to plug in everything I could possibly need, including the monitor. It powers everything through the docks. They're fantastic, they're expensive as shit, but they are great. One of the reasons I was actually very apprehensive about swapping to this is because I have to use a monitor, and I am a sucker for Apple's Retina display, the 5K display. This thing though has been incredible. I bought it on a whim as a test and I love it. This is the LG UN880B Ultrafine. It is a 27-inch monitor. It's only 4K compared to the 5K iMac resolution, but I love it. I can't even tell the difference. The reason I love it is because there's no stand. It's completely movable. So I actually have a camera right here, which I'm often pointing at me for a camera angle, and I can just literally move this out of the way. This goes up and down. I can angle it forwards and backwards. Absolutely fantastic. I love this thing. It has USB-C ports on the back as well, so I can run things like the keyboard and through the back of that, and it means I don't have to need more ports. In terms of a camera, I use the Sony FX3, which you won't be able to see from either of these angles right here, but I'll show you on the ZV-1. So right here, that's the FX3. Use that because I like the audio handle on top, so I can use my XLR mics directly into it. Easier, quicker, better sounding, just like that setup. In terms of the teleprompter that we have, this is the Glide Gear TMP100. Now, the reason I use a teleprompter is it can have a Zoom meeting with someone, I can have a coaching call with someone, and it looks like I'm looking directly at them while they get a nice view instead of just a generic webcam look. Also, I can have everything go through the Ninja Cast down here and the Ninja 5. It's basically a solution to have multiple angles when you're live streaming or you're on a Zoom meeting. I can mirror my display on the computer here into a monitor, which is going onto the teleprompter. That monitor is just like a generic 10-inch monitor from Amazon. Anything will work. It's USB powered, so I can do whatever I want to put on that teleprompter and film videos, have Zoom meetings. It's a really great setup and it works fantastic. In terms of lights, I make YouTube videos, so of course I have a lovely Aperture 100D Mark II from Aperture with the light dome 2 up here. Thank you very much for sending that through. Secondary light, which I'm using over here, is actually a Godox SL60W. Aperture light is obviously much better in terms of color rendition and the accuracy. That's not a bad option though if you're on a budget. I think that's a newer light dome with a newer light grid. Great for a budget. If you're wondering about the fancy light that I have going on in the background here, this is something I just received from Aperture. This is actually the Aperture 60X with a spotlight mini zoom on the top. This light is fantastic because it is battery powered. You don't have to have it plugged in all the time. Now, right now I do actually have it plugged in, but if you wanted to take it to use for weddings, which is what I'm going to be doing this year, with the spotlight zoom on there, it allows me to put in gobos. That in the background there, that's a gobo. I could change that out for something else if I wanted to, different look in there. I just like the depth that it adds to what would otherwise be a plain back wall. Side note, that wall was white yesterday. Tried to film this video yesterday and didn't like the way it looked being white with the shadows and all that, so late night last night, 2 coats of black paint. In terms of my speakers, I'm using the Edififer S2000 Mark IIIs. They're very flat, which is good. They are technically considered like monitors, so they are better for editing. little auxiliary cable down here so I can plug in my headphones, which that's a setup that I've done. You can connect to Bluetooth as well through them. In terms of headphones, the Sony XM4, they aren't monitoring headphones, but I like them. Say whatever you will. There's one feature on those headphones which is fantastic, and obviously they're great for noise cancellation, and they will just make you feel like you are in a completely silent room. But if you put one hand over the right cup, it will actually play you the ambient sound. As soon as you remove your hand, it will go back to cancelling all the noise. So if someone's talking to you, you can just quickly put your hand over, hear them, and then let go again. I love that. In terms of mics, I actually have two that I use pretty frequently. When I want to do a voiceover, or if I'm talking to the camera like this, Shure SM7B, and this is a blue compass stand. I love this because it's got a little compartment there for the XLR cable, and it just kind of pops in and out there. Fantastic. Supports the weight of this just fine. You can move it around wherever you want. It's well balanced. I like that thing a lot. And on the top here, we have a lovely mic from the team over at Deity. Thank you very, very much. I've started using this a ton recently, and I love the sound. This is the Deity SMIC 2. Over here, we have the Stream Deck XL. There's some things on this which are just so useful and just save me time. For example, Phillips Hue right here turns my lights on and off underneath. Full screen button here to make everything full screen and then not full screen. There's an app called Yoink, so if you're constantly using things when you're editing, I can literally hit Yoink and it displays those files, and you can drag them on, and then when you hit Yoink again, it disappears. I do all my thumbnails in Keynote, and I have a shortcut assigned here. When I click that, it will open Keynote, and then I'll open the file that I'll do all my thumbnails in, and it's done for me. Now, obviously, all these buttons you have to assign yourself, but this thing saves me a ton of time. I can click all these buttons and it'll load those apps. I've got a button assigned to go to my YouTube homepage to look at the channel, things like going into my Google Drive. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot of time that you're wasting, but it adds up. And then the TourBox. This thing, I mean, you can probably see from the B-roll over the top here, has some serious use. This saves me so much time. Basically, all these buttons on here correspond to a button you'd use constantly when you're editing. So like this is my cut, this is my select, undo, zoom in and out. I can scroll through the timeline here. I can do more precise timeline scrolling. I can separate the audio tracks up and down. Like, there's so much you can do with this. And if you've never used one, it's hard to get used to, but once you start using it, I could never go back to a keyboard ever again. Audio interface is the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. That's what my XLRs go into. So whether I'm using this or I'm using the Deity SMIC 2, they go into that, into my computer. That's how I get voiceovers, or if I'm doing a Zoom call or conference call or whatever, and I need high quality audio, going into that. Get my phantom power out of that, and it also shows me my levels. Literally on a call, I can adjust it on the fly. That's really cheap as well. There is way more expensive versions out there, but for everything I need, and probably all you need, great little option. In terms of editing drives, Samsung T5, T7s, I edit everything off of those. And for a mouse, I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this one. I use the Apple Magic Mouse, and I absolutely love it. And I tried swapping to the Logitech one that everyone raves about, and I didn't like it. A big thing for me, I mean, everyone says this is really unergonomic, and I think it is, but I just use this so frequently when I'm editing in Final Cut that I don't think I'd ever change. I know you can do things with the Logitech one as well, but this for me is more convenient. I've never had any pain in my hand. I love an Apple mouse. Keyboard is the Logitech MX Keys, designed for Mac, has the backlight in there. Battery life lasts for quite a long time. I've never had any issues with it. It's better than the Apple keyboard. I'm not a clicky keyboard guy. I could care less about that. This does the job. It's backlit. I like it. It's also black, which is a nice thing. It kind of goes with the vibe. The white Apple keyboard, not so much. And then over to the side here, I have an iPad Pro with the Apple keyboard on there. I find social media can be very distracting throughout the day, so I try to keep my social stuff on there, responding to comments. If I'm in our Discord server, which just started, there's a link down below for that too. All that's done on there. Try to remove that from here. Try not to touch my phone when I'm editing, keep it separate. It works for me. It might not work for you, but works for me. And then onto some more finer details here. This lovely mat here is actually from Grovemade. This is made of wool, a desk pad they call it. This is a maple desk shelf, so essentially a riser. Great for just having some extra storage underneath there. I did have my iMac originally on top of there as well. You can put things up here. I just like that it rises things up a little bit. It doesn't really matter so much with this monitor. I also love that this is pure solid wood. These things are not cheap, but they're all handmade in the States. Everything Grovemade does is extremely high quality because it's been handmade and it's all done domestically. Not for me, I'm in Canada, but you know what I mean. Actually, my favorite thing from Grovemade is the pen. This is by far and large the nicest pen I've ever written with in my life. It's made entirely of aluminum. It has a ceramic coating. It's straight black. It just writes better than anything I've ever used before. I do a lot of writing for notes, pen and paper, old-fashioned way. All my notes for today's video, and that pen, you know what, if you didn't have a nice pen, I probably wouldn't write so much, but because I like using that pen, I tend to write more. Under the desk, I have a Phillips Hue light, which I have controlled from Alexa. Alexa, make the light pink. Changes pink. I also have these little drawers that I bought from Amazon. They just stick on underneath through 3M tape, and all my remotes, memory cards when I'm not using them, little tools for connecting things. I think they were like 20 bucks each. They're so useful, and I thought they would come unstuck, but they haven't. I like mounting things under the desk, as you can probably tell. Now, I'm not a huge gamer, but I have recently been playing F1 2021 quite a bit, and I have a PS4 mounted under the desk here with a controller that can just be mounted right there. That's again attached with 3M tape, and the PS4 is mounted with a 3D printed PS4 under desk mount from Etsy. That obviously runs into here as well. I can just change the input and then play the PS4 that way. I'm toying with the idea of putting a TV on the back. We'll see, but I don't need any more distractions than I already have. And then in terms of cable management, I know you're wondering what it looks like on the back there. Here is some B-roll to show you. It's not pretty, but it's way better than it was. I kind of have everything mounted underneath again. You're seeing a trend here, including my LaCie 16 terabyte RAID, which is two 8 terabytes split. It copies one to the other. And all the power blocks, everything runs towards the back of there. It's tucked away nicely, so it's out of sight, out of mind. It used to be way worse than it is. There's really not a way to make that look that pretty when you have that many cables going on. So I've done the best I could. And I think that is everything. Spend a lot of time here, as I said at the beginning, so I wanted to make sure this was a very functional, comfortable setup with everything accessible. Everything has a place. Everything is used. If it doesn't have a place, it wouldn't be here. So thank you for watching. If you're still here, I appreciate you. Yeah. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.